All right, I think we can get started. Looks like we have about 10 people. Maybe we'll have some others trickle in. Welcome everybody to our fundraising best practices webinar for our virtual fair this evening. My name is Julia. I'm one of the enrollment coordinators here with CIEE. I specifically work in our New England territory, so I help students in our New England region, but we have enrollment coordinators across the country helping students. I'm joined here today by some of our wonderful alumni. If you want to come off mute and introduce yourselves and say where you went on our program.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Pia. I'm based in California, but I went to the Dominican Republic with a leadership and service program.
Hi, I'm Auden. I'm from Northern Virginia and I went to Madrid, Spain on a Spanish language and culture program.
Awesome. Thank you both. So they're going to be presenting on their own fundraising tips and tricks in a couple of minutes after I share a couple of messages from CIEE, and they'll also be available for a Q&A at the end. So feel free throughout the presentation to use the Q&A function to send your questions, and we'll go through them either as the presentation's going along or at the end in our Q&A session. So let's get started. This is a map of all of our programs for our summer, semester, gap, and first year abroad programs. You can see we go a lot of different places across the world. Unfortunately, we don't have a chat tonight, so you're not able to share where you went. But we've heard from Pia and Auden about where they studied abroad. I actually supported one of our programs in Rome this past summer, so I had the opportunity to stay with our session two students this past summer in July. So that was really great. I've also studied abroad a few times myself in Buenos Aires and in Melbourne, Australia, and in the Dominican Republic. Um, yeah. So one question we get asked pretty often is why choose CIEE for a study abroad program? My favorite response is just that we are a familiar organization that has been doing this for a while. We've been supporting study abroad programs for more than 75 years, and every year we support over 40,000 students, including around 4,000 summer students every summer. We are a nonprofit organization that is really lucky to be administering the largest scholarship fund for U.S. high school students. So every summer we award over $7 million in scholarships through our Global Navigator Scholarship and our Academic Merit Award. So we're really grateful we get to provide that opportunity for so many students. I want to go over what is included in program tuition so you get an idea of what you do and don't need to fundraise for. So included in the program tuition is all of the accommodation, whether that be homestays, hotels, hostels, dorms, etc., for all of the programs. Meals are included, so 3 meals a day, whether it be from your host family or provided by CIEE. We also have iNext insurance that will cover anything on program that goes wrong. For example, if a student needs to visit the doctor. One thing to keep in mind is that the insurance is a reimbursement style insurance. So your student will have to pay out of pocket for the insurance on program, but they can use the receipts to submit for reimbursement. All the classes and activities and excursions are all included, so you don't need to worry about paying extra for those. And the program leader and on-site staff that are there to support students throughout the entire program are also included in the program tuition. Students have 24/7 support services. So these are the program leader, our CIEE staff that works full-time on the program, and all of the full-time staff monitor a e-cell that all students can communicate with if there is an emergency outside of normal working hours as well. All in-country transportation is included, so that will be public transportation if your student needs to use it to get to and from class. And on our multi-city programs that go from location to location, all of the transportation between locations is included. Students also are provided with an international phone plan, whether it be an eSIM or a SIM card. The details of that will be shared with your student once they're confirmed on the program. And students are provided with two types of orientation for our programs, a pre-departure orientation that takes place before they fly out to their country. So that is on Zoom, and an on-site orientation to get them oriented to the country once they arrive, and get to meet all of the other CIEE students and staff members. And lastly is our flight chaperone. So the flight itself is not included, but the chaperone for our group chaperone flight option is included in the program tuition. So two things to note that are not included are the cost of airfare. So this is a great thing to keep in mind when selecting a program, is that a flight will need to be paid for separately outside of the program tuition, and flights to countries like Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Argentina will be cheaper than flights to, say, Europe or our Asian or Australian programs. Students will also need to cover any passport or visa fees they might have. Only a couple of our programs have visas. And for passport, it's only if your student needs a new passport or needs a passport and doesn't have one already. So I'll go over a few best practices that CIEE likes to suggest for fundraising, and then we'll hear more from the student experience from our students here today. The very first suggestion is always to identify a mentor. So if you have somebody in your circle and your network that can help you with fundraising, that's a great place to start to set up a fundraising goal. This could be a family member, it could be a teacher, a guidance counselor, a coach. It could also be your enrollment coordinator. So if you have no idea where to start, you can reach out to CIEE and we're happy to help. Next is to find a buddy. If you know another student that is studying abroad, that's a great chance to interact with them and come up with a fundraising plan. I know two students in my region this year are fundraising together, so it's a great way to kind of build out different activities that you can do to fundraise and have somebody alongside you doing it. Next is to set meaningful fundraising goals. So you want to have a couple of different goals you want to try and meet throughout your fundraising plan. So maybe you start with some smaller goals before reaching your final goal of maybe the full cost of program tuition. So if a small goal could be, for example, pocket money on program. We recommend around $200 to $250 of pocket money on a 4-week program. So maybe that can be your first goal, and then have bigger goals down the line. Next is to craft your message. We really recommend writing a strong message when sharing out like a GoFundMe, for example, with friends and family, and with local organizations, perhaps. People want to know why you're fundraising, and people are really encouraged by students who are interested in studying abroad. Not a lot of high school students do get this opportunity to go abroad, so that's a great thing to use in your message. Let them know why this is important to you, so that they feel encouraged to support you. And lastly is to identify your network. So you want to identify the people that are close to you that you can reach out to for help supporting your fundraising for the program, whether that be teachers, family members, friends. We also have students who reach out to local organizations that might want to support a summer abroad. So a network can look like a lot of different things. So now I will pass it over to our first alumni, Pia.
Hello, can all of y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So again, I'm Pia, and I did a program called Leadership and Service in Youth Development in the Dominican Republic. And when I applied, I took it upon myself to pay for everything. So program tuition and the airfare, so that my parents wouldn't stress about it. I applied for the Global Navigator Scholarship, I think it's called, and I received a 50% scholarship. Um, but that wasn't really enough and didn't cover the airfare. So I worked to get together the money and came up with more than enough money for my trip. So some of my top tips are on this slide from my experience that help with fundraising. So number one is to email or message everyone you know. That is family, friends, teachers, coaches, counselors, like anyone you can think of and everyone you can think of. And in the message, talk about who you are, what you want to do, which program you want to go to, and why. And then ask for donations or work recommendations. And the good thing about this is that if the people you directly message, like with an email or something, can't help you, they can forward it to others who could. So that really widens your network. My second idea is to start a GoFundMe and share it on your socials like Instagram or TikTok. A classmate with my advice last year started a GoFundMe for his study abroad trip and made like $10,000, I want to say, or like 9,000 something, which is a lot, obviously. And a friend of mine also made a film that outlined her goals with the program to accompany her GoFundMe link, and she made $9,500. So don't underestimate the generosity of others, especially strangers. A lot of like I would say most of the people who donated to my friends were strangers. So use that as well. My third tip is to reach out to your community. Your community is the best place to start when putting the word out. They're there for you, they're around you. So make flyers to put in mailboxes around your neighborhood, put up posters in popular spots like a community center, a library, um, on the street. And sometimes I even recommend going door to door if you're feeling courageous. But that personal connection of going door to door really helps. And my fourth idea is to apply to other scholarships and contests outside of CIEE. And for that, I would say consider your strengths and use your strengths to your advantage. Like, for example, I am a pretty strong writer, and so I applied to essay contests, which was good for me, especially because a lot of other people don't apply. Like, there's a lot of money waiting to be given out. It's free money. And so other scholarships and contests are a really good opportunity to take advantage of. And while you're doing all this outreach, I would say there are two things that you really need to keep in mind. Number one being you need to have a spiel, like how Julia said, like craft your message, like in your messages, in your emails, on your posters, in your videos, include who you are, why you want to do what you want to do, and why someone should help you. Um, that not only like builds your credibility, but it also is just nice for the person helping you. Like, why would they help you out of the millions of other people around? And it's an easy way to help people understand where you're coming from. And you should also stress personal connection because people are way more likely to help you if they know you. So be real. Um, if they agree to help fund you, share your contact information if you're comfortable, and offer updates through a blog or a video after you come back or something similar. That way, there's some insurance, like they're not just giving you their money and you're running away with it. Um, and when you have the money, remember to send thank you cards or notes to those who helped you, because that's not only polite, but it will make them want to help you again in the future if you decide to study abroad again. Um, and I just want you to take away from this presentation that studying abroad is invaluable. I mean, it literally changed my life, and you can get so many gifts and experiences from your study abroad program. So I hope that you don't let financial difficulties get in the way of this opportunity. We, as in me and CIEE and your community, we are all here for you and happy to help. So let's work together to make this happen. You can reach out to me for questions with questions about anything. I'll drop my contact information in the chat and also my referral link, which you can use to get an additional $200 off your program cost. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Pia. Just to clarify for those attending, Pia's link and Auden's link will be if you haven't opened an application yet, you can use their links to get $200 off of your application. Awesome. All right, so now I'll hand it over to our other alumni, Auden, and just let me know when you want to swap to the next slide.
Okay, no problem. Here, right. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry. Just trying to put it up on my screen.
That's okay.
But kind of similar to what Pia said, there's a lot of different ways to fundraise for your program. First one, I think the most like commonly used one would probably be part-time jobs. I have a job working at an ice cream shop, and that definitely contributed a lot to me being able to fundraise. But also just odd jobs like babysitting, pet sitting, like mowing lawns, that type of stuff. I feel like is kind of an underused method to fundraise, as well as like reselling if you have like a little business or some type of like Depop or Poshmark where you'd want to sell just extra things, extra clothes, anything like that. And then finding a marketable passion like baking, tutoring, helping out, refereeing, like any skill you might have that you may be able to use to market in any way. And also just reaching out to local businesses. If you have a part-time job and maybe it's more of like a more mom and pop shop, or if it's even like a larger corporation, get in touch with your manager, see if they'd be willing to have a little fundraiser for you at a specific time and let people know, let customers know what you want to do and what kind of like your goals with studying abroad, that kind of stuff. And also just like Julia and Pia said, just reaching out to people, family, friends, setting up a GoFundMe, all these are really beneficial resources. And then with scholarships, so CIEE does have a lot of scholarships that I also, like Pia, I got a 50% scholarship, so that was really, really beneficial. And the whole reason I was starting to look into CIEE in the first place was because of a additional scholarship that I got through my county, actually. So definitely, I know Pia said this, but definitely don't overlook those like outside scholarships, because I was able to get another like $4,000 off just through my county because I went on a language trip. So it was like a language learning scholarship. So that was super, super beneficial and just a great way to kind of like jumpstart my fundraising. And I think there's another I'm not sure if it already happened, but there was another webinar just on scholarships itself, so I won't get too in depth. But the scholarships do like applying early on the priority deadline does boost your chances of getting a scholarship. So I highly, highly encourage you guys to apply just to help know where you're at in regards to fundraising. And then just some words from an alumni, some encouragement. I know that your goal may seem a little overwhelming and, hard to reach, but and at the start you may not see as much progress and it may be a little daunting, but just try to trust the process as much as possible. I know that if you work hard, if it is something that is really important to you, which I think it is if you're here right now, if you're really excited to start your study abroad journey. So just try to look forward, see how far you've gone, and just be willing to share your story as well, because a lot of people will recognize the value of studying abroad and be willing to help you. A lot of people studied abroad in the past and have similar experiences where they've had their lives changed and just have learned a lot and had a lot of growth. Ooh, my cat.
Visitor.
Um, from study abroad. So I think a lot of people will be wanting to help out, and your own passion and excitement will translate to their excitement and encourage them to help you out a little. And then last piece of advice is just try not to be discouraged. This is a big goal, a big life-changing goal. And you should be proud that you've been able to pinpoint a passion already as just a high schooler and are challenging yourself to achieve it. And then last little slide I have here is just an inspiration, some pictures from my study abroad.
Oh, I don't know if it's
Oh,
there.
oh, that's all right.
Yeah, it's not. Sorry.
All good. But yeah, study abroad was really an amazing experience, getting to live in a new place, new country. It truly is just a one of a kind experience, and I hope that you all can achieve this as well. Yeah, just try not to get too discouraged. I know it is a pretty lofty goal. It may seem kind of daunting when you look at the numbers and the price, but yeah, just try to work as hard as you can. There's a lot of different ways to fundraise and just reach out to people as much as possible.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing. I hope this was helpful to everyone attending. I want to add just a couple more things. They've kind of touched on all of these, but just make sure that you're not feeling too intimidated on it. There are people to support you. You can reach out to CIEE. We're more than happy to start with a fundraising plan for you if you have no idea where to start. And we have these two wonderful alumni who are here to support you as well. So feel free to write down their contact info and reach out to them for support. And it is only November, and you don't travel on your program until June or July. And even your full program tuition isn't due until April. So you do have quite a lot of time to work on your fundraising for this upcoming summer. If you're maybe somebody thinking of a future summer, you have plenty of time. So definitely get started early. You can always save up the money for this coming summer or a future summer, or maybe you'll even have extra that you can use for another summer abroad. So I'll just share a couple deadlines and then we'll see if there are any questions left to answer. I know a few have been answered in the Q&A. So it is rolling admissions if you don't require a scholarship to travel, but for our scholarship deadlines, we are running a free flight raffle. So like Auden said, it's great to get your applications in early. So if you submit your application by December 1st, which is coming up quickly here, you'll be entered into a raffle for the chance to win your flight to the program for free. So definitely consider doing that. I'm sure most of you students have a Thanksgiving break coming up, so that's a great opportunity to take off some time from schoolwork and work on your CIEE application and essays as well. And our final scholarship deadline is January 15th. So if the December 1st deadline is not doable for you and your family, definitely reach for the January 15th deadline, as that is our final scholarship deadline. You definitely want to reach that deadline. And scholarship announcements will be in February. So one thing I always like to suggest to students is to submit their application. The only commitment is a $25 application fee. So you can submit your application and hear back from our scholarship review team to decide how much of a scholarship you've received and go from there, if it's going to be doable for you and whatever your fundraising progress has been so far or what it's looking like for the future. We are running some more sessions tonight for our virtual fairs, our last night. If you missed some of the sessions that we ran earlier this week, all of them will be recorded and uploaded onto our YouTube in a couple of days. It'll be announced on Instagram, and you can check them out on a playlist on our YouTube. So definitely check those out once they're ready. But that's everything we have for you. So now if you have any questions, or anything we can help with, definitely send them in the chat. Or sorry, in the Q&A. So I see one here, a question for our alumni. How has CIEE study abroad impacted you beyond high school?
I can talk about that. I did a leadership and service program, and that really cemented my interest in sociology. Um, and that's what I'm going to major in college. And so having that hands-on experience abroad, in an international community, um, made me realize like, oh, like this is what I want to do with the rest of my life, like in college, and beyond with a career. And obviously all the skills that I learned during that program um, will stick with me for life as well.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Auden, for that one?
Yeah, sure. So I had never really been out of the country. So just being able to go overseas and go to a new place is really life-changing, and especially for such an extended period of time. And just getting to be able to see and experience a new way of life was really eye-opening and really expanded my horizons. And also just being able to have this independence, away from my family and my community, as much as I did miss them, just being able to like kind of forge my own path and learn a lot about myself on my own, like, and being able to make all these new connections with people would have never met before and would have never known, both in my program and the people around me, like my host family, people in Spain, other students, was really amazing and just an experience I would have never had. And so I'm very grateful.
Awesome. All right, our next question asks if you studied abroad over the summer or during school. I'm going to take this one because I know you both studied abroad during summer. We do have semester programs. So I know the question was regarding making up coursework. On our semester program, students will still take coursework throughout the semester, just at a high school abroad. So definitely reach out to our semester team. You can email us at hsabroad@ciee.org to learn more about our semester programs. But students do take coursework, so there's no need to catch up from the previous year. The next question for you guys is, could you elaborate on getting a local library to advertise your GoFundMe?
Um, I don't I don't know the legal rules surrounding um, a local library advertising a GoFundMe, but local libraries can definitely support you otherwise, like with putting up posters or if they have a newsletter, including you in their newsletter. I yeah, I again don't know the legal rules, but I reach out to your local library. I'm sure they are going to be happy to help you.
Just adding on to that, um, I'm not sure about GoFundMe's, but I did hear from another global navigator that she used her school library to kind of advertise CIEE and like have a poster put up on the door of the library and just all around. So I think you could probably do something similar in your school library. Just make sure to talk to, your principal, vice principal, and all the admin there before you do that. But it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, great points. I'll also add, didn't fundraise for a study abroad program, but I did used to fundraise a lot as a student for other things I was doing. And we always reached out to our local newspaper. So local newspapers can be a great resource in addition to your local library. Sometimes they will interview you and paste you up in the local newspaper along with a link to your GoFundMe or wherever the site is that you're fundraising for. So definitely consider that as well. The next question is, what was the most challenging thing about studying abroad for you?
I would say definitely the language barrier, although I did, I've taken 5 years of Spanish at this point, but still, classroom Spanish and actual Spain Spanish, like living there, are very, very different. Um, and so at first it was a little tough to connect, I'd say with my host family, but um, it just brought me and my roommate, I feel like, a lot closer. And then eventually, once we were able to get the hang of it and kind of understand each other, it helped me bond, I think, with my host family a lot.
Anything to add, Pia? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think studying abroad was particularly challenging. I mean, obviously there were challenges to it, but like just going with the flow helps. It's not as scary as you think it is. I just want to reassure you about that. Like it's not a very daunting thing, but I would agree the language barrier is a big challenge. Like if you've learned the language in a classroom and not through lived experience, classroom language is very different from in-person communicating language. Um, so yeah, just be prepared for that shift.
Great points. The next question asks about how soon you started saving. The question is asking about our deposit, so I'll just clarify. For our Academic Merit Award scholarship and for if you're not applying for a scholarship, as soon as you submit your application, we'll go ahead and review it. And when you receive acceptance, which typically is around 2 to 3 days after submitting your application, you'll have a $1,000 deposit due in 5 days. So that's what this person is referring to. But for our Global Navigator Scholarship, the process is a little bit different. After the scholarship, after you submit your application, you have a little bit of time to wait for our scholarship review team to review your application. And when they get back to you in February, you'll have 10 days to decide if it's doable for you. And the deposit is not necessarily 1,000. It could vary from 25 to 1,000, depending how much of a scholarship you receive. So back to the question, how soon did you start saving for your program?
I started saving around this time last year, about like November, early December-ish. But I'd say honestly, like, the sooner the better. that you can get like a head start on it. Even if it's just little by little, a couple dollars here and there, like week by week, just whatever money you can, I feel like just really makes a big difference.
Yeah, start saving as soon as possible. And even if the study abroad program doesn't work out, you still have that money to spend on whatever you want. So, like, don't be like, oh, but like, I don't want to put in all this work to not have it happen. I mean, like I said before, we're all wanting for your study abroad experience to happen. So it probably will happen. But if it doesn't, you still have all this money that you rightfully earned to spend elsewhere. So start saving as soon as possible.
Yeah. And you can always save the money for a future summer abroad if you have future high school summers coming as well. Next question, did either of you win a free flight in our free flight raffles?
Yeah, I did not, unfortunately. Um, but like I said, like my outside scholarship through my county, that was actually able to like help me with the flight. So, again, just try to look for scholarships wherever you can. It's a big
Yeah,
help.
some schools also have scholarships set aside for students as well, so definitely check with your guidance counselor. I know a school in my territory will match the scholarship you receive for your flight. So a lot of our schools have different things like that set up. So definitely reach out to your guidance counselor or like a language teacher, someone who might know about scholarships at your school. Um, I see one more about the free flight raffle. Yes, the free flight raffle is only one person wins the free flight. I'm just seeing if there's any more related to fundraising because we have some general ones. What you guys do? Okay, this one specifically for Alden. How did you go about finding out about the county scholarship for studying abroad?
So it was actually through one of my teachers. My Spanish teacher last year told me about it. And it's something that is pretty recent in my county that we just have like this education fund and um, yeah, they're able to have this scholarship for people, students who are at a certain level of languages, any language. And so I'd say just definitely, I'd recommend looking for whatever scholarships you can, county, state, school, anything like that, that other people may not know about. Because I know they told me that only, I think, 9 people from my county last year applied, so you never know um the probability, like the likelihood that you'll get it. So just try anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Another question, thanks for bringing this up. I actually forgot to mention this, is the early decision round. How many people are picked and did you get the early decision round? That is something new we're running this year. So Pia and Auden did not have this in their summer abroad. So for this year, if you submit your application by December 1st, your application could be reviewed in an early decision round and you could hear back from our scholarship review team in December before winter break instead of in February during our normal scholarship review round. So we don't have a set number of students that get picked for early decisions. And that's pretty much all the information I have on the early decision round. So it's a possibility if you submit before December 1st that you'll be reviewed early. And if you're not, you'll also hear from our team to let you know that you'll be reviewed regular in our January review. All right, let's see. Okay, a lot of these are general, so we can switch over, picture yourself on your study abroad program. If you could do study abroad again, what would you do differently?
I was thinking about this. I saw the question And I was like, "Ooh, that's a really good question."
Mhm.
I think I would spend more time with my host family. My program was pretty packed with activities, and so the only time we really had with our host families was during meal times, like lunch and dinners. And I wish I would have made more out of that time together. Like I helped make meals sometimes, and that was really, really nice and really, really rewarding because my host families enjoyed having that time with me and interacting with me more. And I wish we would have done more together, like go on a big excursion together, and spend more time together because I think your host families are the people like in your home while you're in the program, and they're a really wonderful resource. And I still keep in touch with my host family, so you have that relationship to build.
Yeah, that's a great point. Um, I also wish I, had spent more time with my host family. Also just because I was in like a larger city, so I think just exploring more because once, you're there for a month, after, a week or two, you kind of start to get into the habits like, oh, after school, me and my friends are gonna go here and then, we'll go shopping here and get a snack or a coffee, whatever. So I think just getting out of those habits and exploring more areas of the city before I left, just to get a feel for everything and, you know, um, take advantage of all the time.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I went to the same cafe every morning for my program in Rome, so I do wish I switched up more. Okay, I'm gonna jump down to a question that's related to fundraising. Was 200 or related to money, I should say, was 200 to $250 enough? And maybe could you guys give some insight on how much you saved or brought for pocket money?
Sure. So, I spent around 200, 250. I think it was 230-ish, but again, I was in a bigger city, so it's some people in my program spent a little more. I would say generally where I went, like in Spain, it was a little cheaper than US prices. Um, Not a lot cheaper because it was more of like a tourist hotspot, a lot of very metropolitan. But yeah, I'd say around 250. If you can do any more, great. But if not, if you only have around 200, I feel like that's perfectly fine. That's enough.
I think how much you spend for, or want to have for pocket money depends on one, your budget, obviously, and two, your normal habits. Like if you know you spend a lot and you want to buy some new clothes and get your nails done and have a bunch of snacks, then I would say definitely budget more in your pocket money. I personally don't really spend that much money, and so I spent around $50, I think, because I just bought souvenirs, and it's much cheaper in the Dominican Republic than in the US. So, yeah, depends on your type of lifestyle.
Perfect. Um, I think I may have froze. Can you guys hear me okay still?
Yes.
Okay. It was paused there for a second. Okay. I will also add that for our iNext insurance, like I mentioned earlier, it is a reimbursement policy. So keep that in mind when thinking about pocket money, whether that means bringing a little bit extra pocket money in case you're concerned about the cost of any healthcare, or having some way of getting funds from you to your student if you're a parent or guardian, if needed. Okay, next question. What was a typical day like during your program?
So for me, um, we'd get up in the morning, me and my roommate, we'd get on the metro, um, go to class. We had class, or we'd go to like our school, and then we'd usually have an excursion somewhere. Um, Usually like we went to like a bull ring, we went to museums, um different like nature areas to play like typical Spanish games. We went to see a movie in Spanish, just a lot of different things. We'd usually do that in the morning, and then have lunch. Um, we would usually have like a task for our classes, like to talk with the Spanish people to kind of get uh cultural like communication and be able to talk to Spanish citizens. And then after our lunch and like cultural exchange, we'd have class from 2 to 5, I think it was, but we'd usually have a break of around like 15 minutes near the middle. And then 5 until 10, we had free time to kind of hang out with our friends, go out on the city, maybe grab a snack or something. And then we had a curfew at 10. Usually we were home before 10 because we had a lot of free time to have dinner, spend time with our host families, do a little work, but and then head off to bed usually.
Um, a typical weekday in my program, which was a thematic program, not a language and culture program, was my roommate and I would wake up, have breakfast with our host family, get on a bus, go to a local village, volunteer all morning with them. We'd play games with the kids, um, and sometimes we taught them basic stuff, um, and just generally spent time with them until about like 12, and then we'd get back on the bus, get dropped off at our homestay, eat lunch together with our host family, and then get picked up again with the bus and go to a cultural center where we would have some classes or we do some kind of class E thing. I do want to mention that classes in school, at least for the the 3 and 4 week programs, and especially for the thematic programs, it's nothing like school in the US. Like it is fun. You, like you want to be there. It's very engaging. Um, and we'd have a couple of classes. Sometimes we'd have a lecture or like a guest speaker from the community. Then we'd do a cultural activity, like we'd go to the market or explore a museum or um, yeah, like explore restaurants. And then we'd have free time, and that was really free. Like you could do anything you wanted. And then we'd get back at about like 9 or 10, and then we'd have dinner with our host family, and then we'd go to bed, maybe watch TV with our host family before going to bed. Weekends were a little different though. One weekend, we went on an excursion to a plantation, two types of plantations actually. There's a coffee um, plantation and a cassava plantation, and we explored a different part of the Dominican Republic. And then another weekend, we went to the coast, and we stayed at this hotel, um, and yeah, we spent time at the beach. Yeah, so weekdays and weekends look a little different but all fun stuff.
I just wanted to add, I forgot about weekends and little trips we did, but you're making me want to go to the Dominican Republic and like,
Me too.
yeah. But we also had a couple weekend excursions. We went to the beach in Valencia. We went to like Segovia, which is like uh more northern and more there's just a lot of history there, Roman aqueducts. And then one weekend we had just with our host families. And so our host family took us like on a couple day trips like to Toledo. And then I went to another weekend, I went to like a not a farmer's market, but like a what's the word? I forget. Oh, like a like thrift market, flea market. That's where with my friends and their host families. And so yeah, just a lot of fun stuff, a lot to do on the weekends, because you're with host families and they live there, they know all the activities and events going on.
Yeah. And these are pretty common days in the life on all of our programs. And I will mention that if you have opened your application already on your CIEE portal, under the reading section, you should be able to see what's called an outcomes calendar, which is a sample itinerary of a previous year's program for your program. So if you're wondering about other programs, definitely check that out. And our website has more information as well. I know somebody asked about the itinerary as well, so I'll mention that we do send a packing list before you go abroad once you're confirmed on programs, so you'll know what kind of to pack. We are almost out of time, so we have time for a few more questions, but if we don't get to everybody's question, because I see a lot still here, definitely reach out to CIEE. I dropped the email for our CIEE team that you can reach out to, and Auden and Pia have both provided their contact information in the chat as well, so feel free to reach out to them. But we'll see how many of these questions we can get to. What do you recommend everyone bring while studying abroad, no matter the location?
That's a good question. Um, I'm not sure no matter the location because I've only been one place, but I would say bring like a gift for your homestays, kind of try to on the first couple of days, kind of bridge that gap and get to know them, bring them a gift to show just like courtesy, all that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's such a good answer. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but that's really important. And it's even better if it's something personal to you or like where you come from or something like that. And my mind immediately went to practical stuff, and water bottle was the only thing I could think of. I use my water bottle every day, like all the time. Um, and especially if you're going to like an adventurous program, definitely bring a water bottle that's sturdy and like that you can carry really easily.
Great. Those are great suggestions. Water bottle is a great idea also for all of our programs that are hot programs. Like our programs in Europe are going to be really hot over the summer. I've studied abroad 3 times myself, so I want to also add in here. I recommend bringing a journal or having some kind of way of journaling or keeping track of your time abroad. When I studied abroad, I kept a blog online that my family followed while I was there. They still go back and check it to this day, and I studied abroad over 5 years ago. So definitely a journal. To bring that into our fundraising topic, a journal is a great way to take some aspects of your program into those thank you notes that Pia was suggesting earlier. So you can take snippets from your journal, let them know what you've been up to, what experiences you've been having to give them kind of a feel of what your summer abroad was like. Um, We can do probably one more. What kind of extracurriculars and activities were available to you while studying abroad?
Um, I would say like almost anything you could think of, like um different kind of areas, like bunch of sports, and like all types of sports. Like when we were at the beach, there was swimming and there was also a pool at the hotel. With the kids, there was a lot of football or soccer, and um, yeah, so lots of sports, lots of exploring the city through different ways, markets, museums, um, architecture, monuments, um, and um, cooking. We took a cooking class. We also took an art class where we painted. Oh, wait,
Hmm.
we painted
Oh.
our little devil. And yeah, again, the plantation excursions, like a whole bunch, everything.
Yeah, there really is just whatever comes to mind, whatever you can come up with. We did a lot of sports while I was there was the Euro finals, so watching a lot of soccer because Spain did win. And then what else? We also did a lot of classes. We did cooking class. We had a couple like music classes, dancing, like flamenco classes. So just a lot of things to do. If one specific activity that you do one day with your group, like you're like, wow, I love this. There's you know plenty of time to gather a group of people, go with your friends, and like try to explore that interest more. If you love dancing, finding like a dance workshop or a dance studio. If you love painting, like finding a art studio, going to museums. We found like this karaoke place, and we went there like 3 times in a row. It
Hmm.
was a lot of fun. So just whatever you want, whatever you can find, just try to make the most of your time there. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you both. I think we got some really great questions answered. We're just at about 8 o'clock, so I will go ahead and wrap up our session here. But like I said, feel free to reach out to any of us. CIEE is happy to help. Both of our alumni here are happy to help. All of these sessions have been recorded, so definitely check them out on YouTube in a couple of days when we have them uploaded. And thank you everyone for joining, and thank you Pia and Auden for your information and insight.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah, it
All
was
right.
really nice to have this opportunity, and I hope this was helpful to you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, and have a good night.